Hi everyone, it's Norma from Craft with Norma. In this video I'm going to show you or give guidance to how I'm going to make my next art assemblage journal. I have made one and I did it with Graphics Fairy and that was a good few months ago now, and it's quite complicated in some ways. So what I thought I'd do is first of all show you how I've collected all the bits that I've needed to do the journal, and then to show you some of the processes of the journal and eventually the journal itself. Now I've got this all organised because we're going away on a retreat to Wales, so it's three other friends who are like-minded, I suppose the best way to describe it, and myself are going to go away for a week, go to Wales to this retreat, a lovely setting, and I'm going to do this large project and one or two smaller projects that have been done by the other ladies. So I've got to tell them what to collect together. So I'm just going to run through what I've collected ready to do the project. So let me just first move most of the things away because it's quite a bit of bits and bobs that I've got. So first off, you need a book. So this is the size book that I'm going to do it on. It doesn't make any difference what size book that you do, as long as you've got enough space on here to do your assemblage art. And mine is all going to be about needlecraft this time. So I've got my book. I've then got a piece of mount board which I've cut down to fit the front cover of the book, so it's just slightly smaller than the cover of the book. And I've also saved the trimming on the end. And then what I've done is I've got a piece of paper that I printed off with some script on it, and that's going to actually go over the front bit like so. Oops, just like so, and we're going to stain it and do other bits and pieces to it. So that's the front of the book, and then we're going to trim down this piece so it actually fits into there to put our signatures on. So that's the first bit of kit that you need. And then I've asked them to collect some papers for the signatures. So here all I've gone and done is collected all sorts of papers that I think I might use to journal on and for the signature. So there's all bits of different papers there. So collected those together. Next, I've got ready a piece of the tea bag paper that I've made. So this is just tea bags, and I've glued them onto a piece of greaseproof paper, a baking sheet, and I'll be using that for the binding on the base of the book. And also to make one or two little bits to go inside the book. So a piece of that I've told them to get. And then I've also asked them to get some bits of ephemera together. So here's mine. I've got a certificate of discharge. I've got a library card holder and the little piece of paper that you stamp on the dates. This one's actually from London Borough of Enfield. It's a book that I've picked up at somewhere along the line in a charity shop. And then this one is a handwritten letter that I've got made to pop into this vintage envelope. It's a faux one. So I've gone and put a vintage stamp on it, an address, and the letter can go into there. And then a couple of bookmarks that I had, so I'm taking those as well. So there. And then here's just a glassine bag. Not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. And then some dressmaking tissue, pattern tissue. So again, because it's all about sewing and dressmaking, needlecraft. So it's supposed to be of my nan's that I've come across, and it's got bits and pieces of what she's collected over the years. Some other glassine bags that I've got, so I've put those in as well. And then I've got some print-offs. So these ones, let's just get you a bit closer. Oh, there we go. These ones are from the Graphics Fairy at the Premier site. So I've got some of those. Some faux tensioning notes and some faux pound notes. They're obviously not in circulation anymore. And then I've got an envelope, a couple of different envelopes and folders. They're just some bookmarks that I think I might use. And then again, I've collected and put it on pic collage, which is what I use. So there's some bits and pieces there ready to use. And then some scripted papers that I like, so I've taken those. And then these are the book covers from Graphics Fairy that I'll probably use. So I've got those. So again, so they've got an idea of what it is we're going to use. And then here is just some coffee dye papers that I've got ready. And what's quite nice about some of these, I don't know if you can see that or not, but they're just printed patterns that's come off my chairs in the garden, because that's where I put them to dry. So some coffee stain papers. And then, in this envelope, I'm just going to do it for you. Just move this to one side and pin those. In here I've got all sorts of bits and pieces that I've collected, which are all vintage. There's needle books. I've got some scraps of materials, some cottons, some wool, all sorts of bits and bobs that I've collected over a period of time and found in my sewing box. So they're all ready to take away with me. An old zip, I say more needles again, some silk ribbon. So just a little bundle of bits and pieces that I'm hoping that I'll be able to utilise. Obviously I'm not going to use all of it into the journal. Some of it's going to be on the cover and some of it is going to be inside the journal, and some of it I'll keep to use again. And then here we've got another bundle of bits and bobs that I've kept over a period of time, and also some bits and bobs that people know me and I've gone and said that what I'm doing. So this one's going to be the tin that's going to be keeping the needles on, and that's going to be in the front of the journal. And what I'm going to do is put a little bit of sellotape over a piece of paper that's got needles written on it, so it looks like that's where my nan kept her needles. There's a boot hook, a wooden needle holder, and the top's stuck to it, so I've drilled a hole through it ready to go on the side. There's an old penny, a halfpenny. Let's just see if we can get a bit closer. There we go. A halfpenny. A couple of vintage needle cases, leather ones. And this one I was given the other day. Oops, let's throw those in there. The other day, and it's vintage, and it comes from the place that I was brought up, which is really in North Wales. And again, they're just vintage needles that's in there, which is I thought was quite nice. Some faux cotton reels, a vintage tape measure, and we know it's vintage because it's only got inches, it's got no centimetres on there. A pencil, an old book, a small old book cover that's going to be I'm going to use. And then I've got some of these which are dried flowers from my garden, and I've just put them through a laminator. But the laminator that I've used, the pouches, are the opaque ones, not the clear ones, and I think they're quite nice, so I'm going to be using some of those. A crochet hook, some more zips, an old penny and an old stamp, a little teeny weeny tiny, I don't know whether you can actually see it or not, little teeny weeny tiny teddy bear that's been crocheted. I've got no idea where I got that from, if I'm honest. A couple of charms off, I think it might have been a necklace, some buttons and a little, I don't know what you call it, a dangly thing. There we go, so some of those. And then in this one, a little canvas paper, some more bits and bobs that's in there. So I've got some pins in an old lid, a thimble, a bobbin, some medals, scissors, tweezers, vintage bottles. So there's all sorts of bits and bobs there that I'm going to probably use on the front cover. So I've put those on one side. And then here I've just gone and started to collect bits and bobs together. So I've got coffee stained index cards. I've made some of the Tim Holtz folders to put bits and pieces in. I've got some of the money envelopes that I've already made up, and some of the tags in various colours, and some of them are coffee stained, and then a little notebook I've already made ready to go in. So that's the arrangement of all the bits and pieces that I've asked the ladies to bring along, something similar to what I've got here to make the journal. So in the next bit we're going to be showing you when we are at the retreat and how we're getting on, and then the completed journal at the end. So hang in there and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks very much. See you soon. Well, I had a great time at the retreat, and although I didn't finish the journal at the time, I've come home and finished it. But just to give you an idea of what I've added to it. So I've got a large darning needle, vintage darning needle at the very top. I've got a vintage tape measure which only does inches, there's no centimetres on either side of the tape measure. Some pins in an old tin. This is a boot hook, a Victorian boot hook. This is a rusty large paper clip. I've got a half penny from 1949, a set of tweezers, which I've got no idea where they came from. I've embossed a little insect just down the bottom there, little beetle type thing. And then I've rusted this old tin and I've added the words needles to it and put some faux aged sellotape or tape, clear tape, and then put a pack of needles and some rusty old needles in there. So it looks like my gran had kept her needles in this little tin, and over the period of time it's got rusty. And an old vintage belt bottle. So that's the cover of the book. And then as a dangle, I'll just move the book out of the way for a sec. I've gone and added some authentic vintage little scissors, embroidery scissors, an authentic thimble, and it's got on it, it's a size 10. Didn't even know they came in sizes, if I'm honest. A piece of the vintage tape measure, a little dog tag with I've gone and printed on there a pair of scissors and also some safety pins. A little tag, and I've used one of Tim Holt's collage papers there just to have a little image on the tag. An old necklace, broken necklace, and I've added that little bit to there. A rusty safety pin is keeping everything in place. And then some sari silks and some ribbons just to add to it. So that's the tag as such. And I do love these little scissors, really do. They're not particularly sharp anymore, obviously, but they're a really nice shape. So put that away on one side and get back to the book. Okay, so that's the outside, and if you saw the beginning of it, I had the papers and things there, and I've added to it and built it up. And then I've used, for the spine of the book, I've gone and used the tea bag paper that I've made, and I've just used that on the spine of the book. And then the distress look, again on the reverse of the cover. So it looks like someone's just got their cup of coffee and plonked it on there as such. So to go inside, okay, so we'll open it up, and the first bit of the journal, I've just added it's a copy of a ration book, and I've just made that into just a little notebook really, and I've used some paper from a ledger and added that to it. Put that on one side. And then a little needle case, and then a couple of tickets there. And then if you open this out, I've just got a vintage photo there of a little girl holding her teddy. That just holds that in place. And then if we flip this up, you can see there I've gone and put a little tiny thing of Mystic starch, because everyone used to launder their work and with starch, so it was quite stiff. And then some vintage silk and needle thread, again which I got from a local flea market a while back, so all authentic. And then here I've just got a little notebook that we can lift up and some lined paper there to sort of jot things down, so that slots back down there. And then I've got these two little, I don't know what you call them really, little handles that holds that everything in place, and then you can put in then your book, your ration book, and your tickets, like so, and then your needle packet. And here at the bottom, I've just taken that from an old vintage sewing book that I came across, and again I've tried to colour coordinate bits and pieces in it. Now the book itself is made up of 3 signatures. So the first signatures are papers from various places. Here I've just trimmed out to make it look like lace or broderie anglaise. So you've got plenty of room there to actually journal in. And again, another one of those little envelopes there to keep bits and pieces in. And then a piece of the vintage tape just as a marker for the book. And here and there I've actually printed on, I've stamped on some sewing type words and letters. Again, that's from a sewing book that I've used, and again there's loads of bits and pieces there. Now this actually came from the inside of a book, and I can't remember what book it was, but I love the image of the really big furry coat with the shoes but no head. So I quite like that, so I've left that in. Again, some more sewing material from a sewing book, vintage sewing book. Then here I've got a little bag, a glassine bag, and I've just put in there a number. So this coupon has got to be taken along for when you get a piece of cleaning out of the laundry or your dry cleaners. Again, it's just to give you that sort of vintage feel. Some gorgeous papers, and then I've just tied them in, and I've got just a couple of tags there that I've added to it. And then we follow the theme. Now this is a postcard from Salvador Dali, and I just thought that would be quite nice in there, and I quite like the colour to match the paper that's on this side. And then the other side of the glassine bag, these are vintage pins, 1-inch pins. So again, I thought I'd just drop those in the bag. And again, it's authentic, I can't say it, gosh, what am I like? Authentic vintage. There we go. And that just follows along and matches. And then here we've got a zip, more of a modern zip, because it's got the plastic zip rather than the metal zip, and a piece of material. And again, I've tried to colour match with just that piece of paper there to write on. And that's the first section. So there's 20 pages there to journal in. And then on this section here, the middle section, I've just done a folder. So again, in the folder, it's I've gone and put some index card, and there's a little pocket there, and I've just put that little envelope in there. Again, it's from one of the starch ones, and there's another piece of the vintage book. And then I've just got a piece of paper there for you to journal on, and that's a PG Tips tag for tea, from a tea bag. So that just slots in there like so. And here I've just made a little money envelope, and I've attached some materials, some eco printed material, and some muslin, and also some selection of buttons, and that just slots into there like so. And then if we turn this over, we've got here just a card, really, a journaling card with some tickets in. We've got an original vintage wool and nylon thread holder, I suppose you'd call it, wouldn't you? Yeah, a thread holder. We'll call it a thread holder. And then we've just got one of the files from the Tim Holtz, although it's not Tim Holtz paper. I've used one of his file cutters, and that just slots in there like so. And again, this is from one of the vintage books that I've used. There's the centre of the folder, and I've just tied it again with some of those tags. And then here on this side, I've used some needles. Now, if you're in the UK, you'll remember a shop called Woolworths. It's no longer with us, unfortunately. And every single high street had a Woolworths on it. And this is a pack of needles I came across, and that's the sign for the Woolworths items. And again, it's got made in Great Britain. So again, a vintage one. And then just a little tiny tag with some materials that I thought were quite pretty. And again, one of the little files there that slots into there, and a vintage pair of scissors as a little stamp in this corner here. And then this flips open, and we've got a bookmark that I've just slotted into there from a dressmaker's dummy. And then here we've got a pound note, a faux pound note, a certificate of discharge from for Private James, and just a little photo there, just as journaling space. And then if we flip it over here, again we've just got another piece from the vintage book, sewing book there, and I've made a tag just to slot in as a journaling card, and that just slots into there like so. And then the final signature. Again, I've really copied what I did on the first signature, so you've got 20 pages there to journal on. Here we've got handwritten letter with a stamp, and inside is a little letter, which I won't read out to you, but starts off, "My dearest Doris." So that just slots into there. Gosh, I can't even get it in. Gosh, Norma, come on, that's it. So that slots into there. And then we've got one of my little books, and again it's 4 girls down the beach, splish splashing in the water, as a little journaling card. And that slots into there, like so. And then I've made a little tiny pocket here with another vintage stamp, and that's just some of the hooks and eyes, hooks and bar loops, and again that's vintage. It says there, made in England, because most things now are made unfortunately in China. And then we've got another little glassine bag, and in here I've just put in a little ACS card with a little tiny booklet on that side, and then if you flip that over like so, we've got an image of a lady, and their eyes just pop out between the 4 little coloured blobs, which I quite like, so that just slots into there like so. And then here we've got just a little envelope that's on the side of the page, and here just a journaling card, and it's from a game. And I've just made that into a journaling card to slot into there. A tag as the page folder, and again the centre of the book I've just left the twine there and put some tags on, and then that just goes along like so. And then this is the other side of the glassine bag, and in here it's just got a sewing machine advert as a little journaling card. Another piece of the vintage measuring tape there on that book. And here I've just done a little tiny collage, and inside I've put an advert for a sewing machine as they cut a journaling card, and again a vintage tags, not opened, and again it's made in England by the appointment for the Queen and the Queen Mary. So that just slots into there. So again, vintage. That's the whole theme of the book. I wanted it to be vintage sewing. And then here on the back page, what I've gone and done is I've made another little tag with a beautiful little image of a little girl in a hat. I don't think that's a UK image, to be honest. Don't recognise the trees. And here we've got a small little folder, and again I've got to put a faux tensioning note in, and there we've just got a advert for some coloured threads, and that just slots into there like so. And here we've got a document wallet, and what I've gone and done this time is a little day book, and I've added a key, a piece of the tape, and a little ticket, and that little day book slots in there like so, and that slots back in there. So this is my grandma's sewing book that allegedly I've gone and come across in the attic, and we call the front of the book, we call it art assemblage. So we've collected all the bits and then built it up to sort of tell a story. So that's my art journal, found in the attic with the sewing machine. So thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's given you some inspiration. It will be available in my Etsy shop, which I will put a link below. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We'd love you to join us. And if you have subscribed, thank you so much. We do enjoy your comments. And that's it. I shall see you again soon, hopefully. Thanks. Bye.